So Cathie Wood has been very vocal for Tesla stock and her predictions on Tesla stock over at Twitter. And on this channel in the past, I've shared several tweets that Cathie Wood has made, tweets that her analysts at ARK Invest have made. However, I want to show you guys something interesting as she was recently on a Twitter space, and I want to share with you guys what exactly she said.
So I asked people before you came into the room, I said, look, if you were given, if you won $1 million lottery and part of the stipulation on the winning was you have 5 hours, you have to pick one stock and you have to keep that one stock for 10 years. Otherwise, we're not going to give you the $1 million. What stock would you invest in?
Our conviction is very high that $180, if you do hold it, don't trade it, will scale to $1,500 in our base case. It's actually a little north of that now. So almost tenfold in 5 years. Why? Because electric vehicles have entered the sweet spot of their S-curve, and Tesla is leading the charge, so to speak.
That was good. I just got the pun. Sorry.
So just the electric vehicle part of the story, that's 500 of the 1,500. In order to get that other 1,000, you have to believe, as we do, that Tesla is going to be in the lead, in the pole position to become the autonomous taxi platform, at least in the United States.
So there you have it. You heard it from Cathie Wood herself. Now this aligns with a lot of the things I've mentioned on this channel, right? A copious amounts of time on this channel, I mentioned how Tesla has something special, which is its pricing power, right? Because of its vertical integration, which a lot of the other legacy automakers do not have. This is why when demand was softening, right? Because obviously the economy is contracting as the Federal Reserve is, hiking rates. Tesla had the ability to actually slash prices to, just bring demand for their vehicles, which we clearly saw demand was going up as Tesla made these slashes. And guess what? A lot of other companies like Ford even tried to copy Tesla by slashing their prices, but here's the difference. They don't have the pricing power that Tesla has. So Ford slashing prices actually makes some of their vehicles unprofitable, while Tesla can slash prices and still remain very profitable. So that is a big difference from Tesla and a lot of the legacy automakers. However, on top of that, we even have more great news because we had an update to the EV tax credit, which actually allows the tax credit to apply to more Tesla vehicles, which actually led Tesla to hike their, vehicles just recently, just came out just like an hour ago, where they're raising their prices on their vehicles higher due to the tax credits that Uncle Sam is giving, which again gives them more leverage in the pricing power to the fact that these other companies just can't play around with, moving their prices up and down just same way that Tesla can. Now that's just one angle to look into it. Now one of the things that Cathie would emphasize is that the majority of the price target that she has for Tesla comes from the autonomy. So I want to go ahead and break down how this is possible and why this is a huge thing for Tesla, right? Number one, no other car company is doing what Tesla is doing with fully self-driving, right? No one is even close. So that's one thing, right? And some, individuals may watch this video and say, well, why does that matter? Well, guess what? This is a software type of deal where anyone who purchases a Tesla, right, they already get the profit margins from the sale of the vehicle, but now they could simply just add the software, which could just add thousands of dollars to the vehicle, which could just inflate profit margins that no other legacy auto company can do, right? Imagine you buy a electric Ford, right? That's it. You just have the profits from, Ford. But if you buy, a Tesla, an electric vehicle like Tesla, well, guess what? You could also, purchase FSD in the future, right? Which could inflate the profit margins, making Tesla so much more profitable than any other EV car company. However, on top of that, there is also the idea that, autonomous vehicles could also replace, companies like Uber or Lyft, where, you had that ride-hailing taxi service that Tesla could also just dominate that market as well. So that is one of the huge benefits that Cathie Wood places an emphasis on when it comes to Tesla. With that being said, I'm very optimistic and bullish for Tesla going into the long term, as fundamentally a lot of things look absolutely great. This is why I have exposure to Tesla in my long-term portfolio. That's the portfolio where I don't mess around. I buy and I hold, and I have exposure to Tesla in that portfolio. However, I want to go ahead and highlight some things on a shorter aggregation period, some things that could 100% influence the direction for Tesla in the short term, right? Because again, I have a long-term investing account, right, where I hold. Then I also have a short-term trading account where we trade the fluctuations in price, especially with Tesla, a stock that I trade often. So with that being said, I want to highlight a few things that we should pay attention to, especially some catalyst events. Alrighty, so we're officially on my laptop. We're looking at Tesla stock on a daily time frame. Tesla stock has been rallying up for about a month and a half now, and we actually recently broke up above an area of resistance. Now, many individuals believe that once you break up an area of resistance, you're making all-time highs for the year to date, that the stock is absolutely bound to come down. Now, that's not necessarily always the case. I want you guys to remember something. Oftentimes when we break into new highs, what we see is buying pressure actually increases. So that's something you should keep on the back of your minds. However, can Tesla stock go down? Well, yes, it can as well. We're going to go ahead and highlight some things that we want to pay attention to. Number one, what are the catalyst events that recently happened? So we talked about briefly earlier in the video about the EV tax credits, and that's very bullish for Tesla. So bullish and optimistic that we actually got news today that they're hiking, prices for their Model Y vehicles, right? So that's good. That means Tesla, the company overall, feels very optimistic that they could raise prices and not hurt demand simply because, we're having help, with the EV tax credits. So that's good. Also, we had, news for Elon Musk winning his court case, right? He was, up against security manipulation, security fraud for like a tweet that he made in 2018 about Tesla, right? Now, I'm not going to go into the whole intricacies of the court case, but it's definitely a big W for the overall company as people associate like what, the perception is with Elon Musk and, what he's saying on Twitter and everything, they oftentimes tie that to Tesla. So if we're getting good news from Elon Musk, well, that's good news for Tesla as well. Right? Now, what are some things that we definitely want to highlight going forward? Well, one of the main things is we have Jerome Powell, right? The Federal Reserve chairman having, a speech tomorrow, and he's gonna, talk about a few things. Now, some people may say, well, there's no weight to that because we already had the rate decision happen, last week. What could he possibly say? Well, this is the first time he's addressing the job data that just came out Friday, right? So depending on what he says, we can see, the overall market possibly, come down. And you guys may say, well, why does Tesla have to go down if the overall market comes down? Well, here's the thing, right? When the overall market starts coming down, well, we see people just kind of, seeing more fear come into the market and kind of greed gets evaporated and money gets taken out. And obviously when money gets taken out, there's less volume, less liquidity, and we could see prices rise or fall very rapidly. So that's something that we have to be very cautious about, which is why, I emphasize in the Push and Profit program that, you don't want to just trade or invest based on what you see on the charts. You want to look into several different data points. That's why we pay attention to the fundamentals. How's the company doing, right? We look at the charts, right? We do pay attention to the technicals, but we also pay attention to the macroeconomic climate, right? We pay attention to monetary policies and also alternative data, right? So that's something that we absolutely have to pay attention to. Now, is there an area where Tesla, can, break out of? Well, one thing I do want to mention is that we notice here on the volume profile, it's very low over here. So once we see, tongue twister, once we see Tesla actually go into the 226 area, we could possibly see Tesla rise even higher and rapidly, very fast. So that's the area that we really want to pay attention to. Of course, we want to see, are we going to go ahead and continue going up or are we going to go down? I think the conversation is really going to be focused on what Jerome Powell says in the next day. As we also see, a lot of wicks on the top of these candles, meaning that there's a lot of selling as we go to these areas. So we have to pay attention to a few things, right? We can't just make predictions. We have to look into the data, right? So definitely very optimistic for Tesla in the long term. We're going to see what happens in the short term. But one thing I do want to let you guys know is that there is a coupon code for the Push and Profit program, where if you actually go to the Push and Profit website, check out the links in the description, and you go ahead and type in V-Day for Valentine's Day, you actually get access to over 80% off. You get access to the program for $80, right? Which is not very common, right? This is probably the biggest sale of the year, where if you take advantage of that, you have access to the Push and Profit program and to the private group, where I go ahead and talk about what stocks I'm looking to trade every single day, and I give updates on what's going on in the overall market before I go ahead and say some things publicly on YouTube, right? And of course, I go into way more details in a private group than I do on YouTube because I try not to make my videos on YouTube very long. I try to make them much more concise. But if you guys want more detail on what are some things that I'm looking into, then definitely check out the links in the description. Take advantage of that coupon code. And you guys let me know in the comment section below. In the long term, are you guys bullish on Tesla? Do you see Cathie Wood's vision of, $1,500 per share? Or do you guys disagree? And also, let me know in the comment section below, what are your thoughts for Tesla in the short term? Are we going to start correcting right around this area of like close to 200? Or are we going to actually break above that area? Definitely something interesting to watch out for. Make sure to do your due diligence. And with that being said, guys, I hope you have tongue twister. Hope you're having a beautiful day, and I hope to see you on this next video right over here. Take care, guys.